Right, we're there.
Okay, I want to call the meeting to order, the Raleigh County Commissioners, May 4th, 2023. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's quiet in here this morning. Last meeting.
What happened last meeting? I don't remember.
Okay, we have Greg on the, it's hard to see, you're really dark, but,
She means your background is really dark there.
well, I can't see your
She's
face.
not saying you're like tan or anything.
Yeah.
Or maybe you are, I don't know.
Shadows.
Yeah, my background is interesting.
Okay, any public comments? Okay, let's go to commissioner comments. Do you want to go first, Greg?
Sure. First thing, wanted to note congratulations to Breva Spencer from the health department. They had a front page article in the Mercury on Tuesday. Tuesday, the committee working on the new public safety project met. We had a good discussion, a review of what we've come up with so far, and they have estimates and floor plans for 3 options to present to the board soon. And David Adams will be setting up separate meetings with you before then to review the plans to bring you up to date on what they've looked at. And then yesterday was a Flint Hills ATA meeting. I'd gotten finally a doctor meeting. It was at the same time, so I'd called and let them know I wouldn't be there. Got an email later on that everybody else had conflicts. Only one board member showed up, so we didn't have a meeting. So I missed a meeting with everybody else too, I guess. That's all. I got some kind of a bug. Didn't want to share it with you guys today. So
Appreciate that. Get you
Yeah.
feeling better soon. Okay.
I'll try to remember to mute when I start having my cough attacks.
Ooh, boy. Guess it wasn't allergies.
I guess not.
No.
Hard to tell the difference sometimes. Okay, what's your report?
Well, good morning. Let's say, may the 4th be with you today, is that, or whatever Star Wars says?
It's pretty terrible. I'm going to steal that.
And just for the record, and I probably shouldn't admit this, I'm not much of a Star Wars fan, but that's a catchy little phrase. So I don't know about everybody else. This week's been a little bit of a blur. I kind of blinked and here we are Thursday. So I guess it is what it is. Monday afternoon, post meeting, interesting meeting, as we've already mentioned. I met with Anna, Raleigh County appraiser, to discuss the rural initiative housing district. Did I get it right?
I think so. It's either yeah.
Just 2 different ones.
Yeah.
That one I get, the other one I don't get. See, all these acronyms for things, I swear. Yeah, so we discussed that. That goes back to that intergovernmental meeting from the previous Monday. God, that seems like forever. As well as possibilities on a land trust thing. I don't know. I'm wrapping my head around all this. I'm not really for sure where I'm at just yet, but getting as much information is plausible to try to figure out where we need to be at moving forward. I look forward to hearing from the city on this, and I'm sure we'll hear from several others along the way. Also, Monday afternoon, I spoke with Jared Tremblay, planning manager for the Flint Hills Metropolitan Planning Organization, on a federally funded program called Safe Streets and Roads for All. This goes back to a conversation I've had with staff from Senator Moran's office, trying to see if there's a possible alternative for the necessary improvements for the city of Ogden. Said during that call, and I'll talk about this again here in a minute, that there's probably promise for this, and KDOT thinks this might be a reasonable, pliable approach for them to get everything put in order to then go for that defense, the DSIP grant that will, the Department of Defense, the grant, same one they're using to do the airport, to do the full project. Cost, I don't know. I'm going to say probably somewhere between $8 and $10 million total. to revamp all of it. And of course, the city itself doesn't have all that money. Tuesday evening, I listened in on National Association of Counties webinar discussing the new U.S. Department of Transportation's $848 million. Here's another adjective, promoting resilient operations for transformative, efficient, and cost-saving transportation grant program, or PROTECT. Google that one. Okay. Established by the bipartisan infrastructure law, counties can apply directly through KDOT between now and August 18th. If that's and there's 4 different levels to that. I would say probably 2 of those probably fit pretty well. 2 of them are probably for more coastal regions that deal with hurricanes, flooding, earthquakes, volcanoes. We'll throw tornadoes in there for good sake too. Evacuation routes to get in and out of places here. That's probably not so pliable because ours kind of fast moving, but there's some other things in there that would be included. So, and as I mentioned, I had that discussion with Jared. We had a follow up on that. Looks like there's some good news, both for the city and potentially for Riley County and even US 24 that Safe Streets and Roads program may be a good possibility to fill in some much needed gaps. State recently announced this as one of KDOT's 4 statewide safety corridor pilot program locations. So this will tie in with that. Just to give an example, if we went after $1 million in grant funds, this would do the $600,000 for Ogden. Then the federal share would cover about $800,000 of that. KDOT would be able to contribute about $150,000, meaning Ogden, the city, county, whoever else would be involved in that would just apply that other $50,000. So Ogden says they have that in the bank to be able to do that for their side, for their part of the grant or match for the grant. And there could be, other cities. I don't know what Leonardville, Randolph, and Riley are working on, or other parts of the incorporated. I was thinking the Marlette project could fit into that because that's rural Riley County as well. And I know we need some extra dollars for that. So there may be a good fit here. We're going to keep working on that. I put some other figures in my notes here, but I won't mention them just in the minutes to save time. Flint Hills IPO will probably serve as the lead applicant on there because it is listed that metropolitan planning organizations can be part of that, should be part of that, will probably actually help. But really Ogden will be the lead because they'll be the one that'll have the most to gain all that. They'd work on getting a consulting firm together to do the work and then create the action plan report and then have everything else taken care of. Last thing I got is congratulations to the men's basketball team. Picked up probably at least one of the most coveted recruits in the country on the portal, North Texas's Tyler Perry. He's going to be basically, I'm saying a Marquise Knoll 2.0, kind of how I look at it. He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the country over the last couple of years. So it's going to be fun to watch coming in with the 2 freshmen this year and a freshman next year. So
what's his name?
Tyler Perry.
It's not related to.
No, it's not even spelled differently. It's TYLOR, not ER.
Oh, okay.
But good point.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. He's a short guy, scrappy. Like I said, Marquise Knoll 2.0. So we'll have something fun to watch in the fall still. So that's all I've got this morning.
Okay. Okay, well, my comments. Tuesday, I caught up on a lot of paperwork at my home office and returned phone calls and emails. Later in the afternoon, I attended the common table meeting where we discussed a memorandum of understanding with the school district on holding meals in the 9th grade building. Has to be taken to the school board for their approval, which I guess it went there last night, and then they have some more changes. There's a lot to be worked out there. It's just, it'll be up in the air. We won't have to sign the document till firm date is established sometime in 24. They're going to have to redo all the HVAC and a lot of other things in the building. Move on with it. So Wednesday, I attended a military relations lunch and meeting at 4 Points. Major General Myers is back at Fort Riley. Yes, he sat at our table, which was really good to see him again. Guest speakers were Colonel Michael Foote and Command Sergeant Major Jason Poulin, who went over the economic impact of Fort Riley and its impact on Riley County.
Oh, cow, you have all command staff.
Oh, yeah, they were-
So is there a garrison commander?
Yeah, there were all, I mean, there were more military people there than I've ever seen,
Well,
so.
they are back from Eastern Europe, so glad they're home.
They did discuss the amount of economic impact Fort Riley has on Riley County, and I think we all have the economic impact for sure.
1.8 billion.
Yeah. economic billion. They also discussed the amount of soldiers and families that stay in Kansas and I'm not going to say the acronym, it's making me crazy. Transition Assistance Program. I discussed that, so they're doing a big push. So, Christian Bishop, the new military relations coordinator for the chamber, gave a full report on her first month in the position. It was just amazing, all the things that she did. She had it day by day. It's just, I've never heard a report from that position. So, upcoming event is the Armed Forces Golf Tournament on May 20th. So anybody that plays golf might want to, get involved in that. It will benefit 19 military related charitable causes that assist service members, veterans, and military families.
I think you can make a separate donation without having to swing a golf club.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
That might be the better approach. I don't really play golf, it's just trying.
I hit the ball a few times.
Yeah.
Not very good. After that meeting, I went to the Western Business Association meeting at Rocky Cay's. Guest speaker was Director Brian Pete under ICPD. And he did a really good presentation about the benefits of the Consolidated Police Department and how they're working to create an atmosphere of trust with all community members. He's really making the rounds. He's been at just about every meeting I've been to past months. Another presentation was made by Pearson McAtee, who is a former basketball player.
So
Yeah,
NIL.
the NIL. Yeah, he was helping with the NIL program, volunteering on that, which means name, image, and likeness, and assists K-State student athletes who can now market their names for profit. The athletes are getting paid for services to a variety of businesses and other entities for advertising, and it's also used for a recruitment tool.
And they've got a nonprofit side too,
Yeah,
where
they
some
do.
of those dollars will roll into a nonprofit while they're there, so it
Mhm.
benefits the community too.
Yeah, it's really he had quite a presentation. I don't know if he wants to bring it, if it's going to be another meeting tonight. Students have to be enrolled and on campus to participate in the program. Members of the Western Business shared their upcoming events and business news. A new business that just opened in Candlewood is Top Shelf. It's locally owned and operated. I sat next to the owners of it. It's a source for premium, high quality, lab tested, and legal hemp derived CBD products. And it's open from 9 to 8. So
They give you samples?
no.
Oh, I'd ask.
No, my comments, except that I heard on the news this morning, and this will be kind of a downer for people, but a news coming in that Shell Oil is showing a $10 billion profit for the first quarter. So let's look at our gas prices.
Yeah.
That's where they're going. So anyway, that's it for me. Any public comments? Oh, we already did. Never mind. Business meeting.
Okay, first item is a highway use permit with WTC Communications to do work on Long Crack Creek Road.
I will go ahead and make a motion to approve the highway use permit, granting WTC permission to do work as outlined in the permit.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the highway use permit, WTC Communications. All in favor?
Aye.
They're getting closer to my name.
Next item is a mobile device reimbursement form. Shelley Woodard.
Go ahead and move to approve the mobile device reimbursement form.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the mobile device reimbursement form. All in favor?
Aye.
Good check. Good check.
Item two to approve payroll. Accounts payable.
Go ahead and make a motion to approve payroll and accounts payable.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to approve the payroll accounts payable. All in favor?
Aye.
Review minutes of May 1st.
Any corrections or changes?
I didn't have anything.
The only thing I was saying, if the attendees list could have been 3 pages.
Yeah.
Just 3?
Well,
I mean, it depends on the font size and all that other cool stuff, but yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well, with that said, then I would make a motion that we approve the minutes from the May 1st, 2023 meeting of the Riley County Commission as written.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the May 1st, 2023 minutes of the Board of Raleigh County Commissioners. All in favor?
Aye.
They don't look so tentative. They look pretty long. It's that time of the year, though.
Yeah, we only have like 3 meetings of.
A lot of new ones.
Yeah. When the county officials luncheon next still here, are we going to have some lunch right in?
We're not having it, are we?
And no, that was the department head, but yeah. Why wouldn't we have it?
We haven't.
No,
Well,
we had it last month.
We were doing it quarterly, weren't we?
No, you're saying about the department head.
You know, that's every other week. That's every other Wednesday.
Yeah.
We're showing this as. There was eight.
It shows every other one, and then this one is March, so maybe it'll be the next.
I don't want to have that right in the midst of budget.
I don't think department.
I mean, it's going from 12 to 1, and then we're gonna just have absolutely no time for lunch at that point.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
Unless there's
you
something
sent out
s-
a message to the. Okay.
Well, you usually.
We
send out
usually
a-
do for the department
Yeah.
heads, yeah, and we don't have anything, so unless the board has something. Then we'll just cancel it.
Okay, since we're in this season, it's probably a good idea. Is that okay with you, Greg?
Yeah,
I had a question on the 11th, and I'm trying to pull it up here. Okay, maybe not. Whatever it was, must not have been that important. Okay. Good to go.
Press conference, are there any, there's no press conference topics, right?
No, that'd be for the next meeting. I don't have anything.
Okay, next one's Anna, for some, 9 o'clock.
Catherine, can I talk to you for a second?
Yeah. Yeah, but looked at it last night. And I think you mentioned that. Yeah. This is the only thing we have.
Might be time to stock up on paper again.
And I did see you had asked about. Oh, okay.
No, I don't. Thank you. Okay.
I have a question for you later.
Okay.
Not true. Elizabeth, you talk about something?
Sure. Everybody's in trouble.
I know.
I would just
Do you want to talk before I go over there
Yeah, it's just quick. That was.
Yeah.
You got out of that, you just, that's a quick one.
Yeah, I don't know their rules and regulations, so I can't.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Ready to go on? Yep. Good morning, Commissioners. Anna Burson, Riley County Appraiser. Just here with our staff update. So I will start with our personal property department. Personal property evaluation notices were mailed on Monday, May 1st. Property owners have 15 days from the mail date to appeal. All appeals must be filed by May 15th. Our residential appraiser 3 will continue serving in dual roles to assist in training new staff. The personal property division is nearly fully staffed. Our new hire personal property appraiser 1 will start on May 16th as well. Our part-time intern's last day with us is today, and my request to refill this position will follow my update. We have 1 property owner, 1 personal property appeal going to small claims at this time, but it includes 72 personal property manufactured homes. So that's a big one. I believe these are out often. But we are waiting for that to be scheduled. I'll give you more information as it comes. Informal appeals on the agricultural side have all been held. Final decisions are being made and results letters are going in the mail. We had 15 agricultural appeals and 29 farm home site appeals. This last month has been exclusively dedicated to informal appeals on the residential side. The final appeal count for the 2023 informal season is 964. All appeals have been held and appraisals are finalizing their decisions this week. All results letters should be out within the next week, and we intend to certify values to the court shortly after. We are at 91% complete as of yesterday, getting through finalizing all of our decisions. The total informal appeals again was 964. 648 of those were residential properties. Just to kind of put a little bit more perspective on it, all 900 were not residential. 648 were, 216 were vacant land. As we've discussed with the increase in the vacant land that was expected. There have been 221 sales reported to date and 189 of those are residential properties. The median sale price is up currently at 215,000. Last month it was at 194,875. The average sale price is currently also up at 241,637. Last month's report at 223,226. Currently, the ratio is at 98.8. As a reminder, the sales validation will begin again in the coming weeks. And these figures will likely change over time as we review the sales that have been reported. On the commercial side, there were 53 total commercial and formal appeals. I have attached that commercial BOTA list, and one thing to note is there are kind of as expected with the outstanding 22, 21, 20 with multiple on here that we don't have board decisions yet on. During the informal appeal, what you would commonly hear is, well, we don't have results on those others, so we'll just take it to vote on these. Yes.
In the future, can we possibly get a list that's a little larger?
Sure, I mean, I put it in here so we could zoom in and scroll
Yeah.
in and out, but I mean,
I keep in a printed list so I can keep up
Okay.
on it, and
okay.
I'm getting old, so my eyes aren't working like they used
So would
to.
you prefer it 2 pages or, okay?
Just so I
Could
can,
be all right, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be
Sure, no, I can do that. One thing while I'm zoomed in on here, just to kind of note, there's 2 Icon investment properties that we worked with the tax representative, and those have been dismissed. So the ones that have the line on them, the parking lot east of on Houston Street, right here, the Midtown Plaza, those were dismissed by the tax reps. In addition, on here, we have stipulated on Central National Bank. We considered additional information, and those are right here. All 4 years from Central National Bank have been addressed. The final, if you would like to discuss those figures, we can certainly get into that, and I can explain the process that we went through. Considered additional information from both parties and made a very reasonable conclusion using appraisal practices on those. So those have all been stipulated. In addition, the Houston Street Ballroom has also been stipulated based on considering additional information provided by the property owners. So certainly, if you would like to visit with me, I'd be glad to go into more details on the process with all of these. As well, get back here to where I was at.
yeah, actually, I need some more depth and information on Genesis.
Genesis, I don't have any information on. That's not settled.
Okay,
Okay, but we can certainly talk about
Okay.
those. Yeah, those currently, right here, Walgreens right now, it sounds like has been continued. Their council and our council are conversating currently, and then as far as Genesis, again, we're also continued. I mean, I'd be glad to sit down and talk to you. There's not really any new information on those, but we received continuation notice from the Board of Tax Appeals. And a lot of times what will happen is opposing counsel will reach out to the Board of Tax Appeals. They need an extension for potentially a fee appraisal or just gathering information. And so that can happen, or in some cases, like if our expert witness isn't available on the date that they've scheduled it, then our counsel would request to continue. And so it kind of works both ways. And sometimes we don't know the reasons, obviously, for continuance if it's opposing counsel that's requesting it. So
so how does Bed Bath and Beyond work at this point in time, since they're now closed?
that one, we again, the information that we have is still, I mean, reasonable. I'm not sure who's going to represent those cases. I can't speak to any of that at this time. Certainly, if you come by the office, we can sit down and look at it further. The ownership has not changed. It's just the occupant has. Or
Yeah, they're
There is no occupant. It would be bankruptcy,
I
yeah.
understand that. So certainly, like I said, we can sit down and we can review process on that and kind of go from there. Let's see here. Docket numbers and dates have not yet been assigned on the 2023s that are on here. We put them on there because we received notification from opposing counsel that they had intended and were sending it on. But there's not yet a docket number. So currently there are, said 5 for 2023. Walgreens, I know they've stated that they are going on for 2023 as well. And so they're not yet listed because the documentation has not yet been received. Okay, let's see here. Our analyst is working to prepare the documents for the Board of Tax Appeals hearings. Those will be scheduled in Topeka. As you saw, many of them are actually continued. And so as we have new dates, I will keep that information updated for you. And we are excited to announce our commercial appraiser 1 position has been filled. Our new staff member will be starting with us on May 15th, so we're really excited about that. In additional information, I wanted just to take a minute to commend my staff for the hard work and dedication this appeal season. As I'm sure you all are aware, it was not without its challenges. I did attend a couple afternoon sessions at the City of Manhattan's Housing Conference and the Intergovernmental Luncheon in April. I am scheduled to give a presentation on the appraisal process at the June luncheon, the June Intergovernmental Luncheon. So just giving you guys a heads up on that. On budgets and miscellaneous, I mean, it's budget time. So, you know, we've just been really reviewing prior years, fee appraisals, you know, when we request fee appraisals, when we don't request fee appraisals. Just trying to really ensure that we are going to meet the budgetary needs of the office going forward. Like all transitions, it takes time, challenges and change are inevitable for growth. So my team, we've made just huge strides in the last year. And just continuing to work towards that fairness and equity and transparency in our processes. And so that's really all I have for my staff update for you guys. I do also have on the agenda the request to refill the position. I'm not sure if we have to do that at a certain time or if I can just get right into that. If you guys have no other questions currently on that staff update. And please feel free to shoot me an email on time, John, that works out for you.
Okay. Yeah.
I know you're swamped.
Yeah.
Just let me know what works out for you.
Okay.
If you have some specific questions on that. Okay. So next is my request to post and refill our part-time appraisal clerical assistant. Background on this is, the appraiser's office part-time clerical assistant position will be vacant tomorrow. The position serves a vital role in our office, which is our daily operations. They will assist taxpayers, business owners, realtors, and handle various appraisal processes throughout the year. There is no fiscal impact at this point. This position has been budgeted and has existed the last several years from what I have seen in the prior budgets. I would recommend, my recommendation would be approving the posting and refilling of that clerical assistant position as soon as possible. You know, like I said, there's a lot of training currently occurring in that personal property department, and what better time to kind of go through that training with all of them as close as possible. And just to ensure there's no maintaining the current workload of this position is vital. And so just to try to keep everything flowing like it needs to be with all of our processes throughout the year. Again, it would be my recommendation to post and refill this clerical position.
So we currently have a full-time one separate.
We have a part-time. This is
the only
this
one?
is the only part-time position that I have.
I thought we had two clerical assistants and then, no,
No, we have an admin assistant who serves as the admin assistant two, who serves as the office manager.
Okay.
I think Lisa. And then we have two personal appraisers. I think that's probably who you're thinking of, but those are appraiser ones.
right,
For personal property.
well, this is clerical. It's
Yeah,
just-
this is the only pure clerical position,
Okay.
and it's an as needed, non-benefits. It's a position that, so Joe started in that position. We started people basically through high school, college, and then some of them have transitioned into full time, but most of the time it's about 20 hours a week, 2,000 hours total per year. And I would say I spent a little time up with the appraisers. This is a busy position. I mean, they're constantly, it's things like scanning, it's data entry, but it's things that have to be done that if they're not doing it, the appraisers would be spending time doing that and getting behind.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else?
Greg, do you have anything? Any questions?
No, no, I don't have anything.
Okay, go ahead and make a motion to approve posting and refilling of the clerical assistant position.
And I'll second.
It's
I'll
been-
second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve posting and refilling of clerical assistant position in the appraiser's office. All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
right.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioners. Have a good afternoon.
We go.
On this conservation.
Yeah, when I wanted, our last one we did was a 19. It was a different. Kind of setup with that on that one, but
I probably need to write all the grant prayer genes.
yeah, I just, yeah, I dress more rural appropriate. Especially with it maybe raining today.
Oh, that's true. On some boots.
Pull out mine too, we'll see. I was just looking at the gym, it looks like. We get to discuss one of Mike's favorite ones here.
Oh, yes.
Cerisa Lesperdiza,
Oh,
an old world blue stem.
What's your getting to be interesting species plant.
Uh-huh.
The old world blue stem, the big issue with that is it's a grass
Mhm.
and trying to kill the grass amongst other grass.
Mhm.
Very difficult.
Yeah, at their annual meeting, a professor from the university came and spoke on that particular subject.
Arsenal is the current chemical
Mhm.
that we use. It is a non-selective herbicide, meaning it potentially can kill anything you put it on, but you put it on a light enough concentration and it will control, in theory, old world blue stem, Caucasian blue stem.
There's about 6 different types.
Yeah,
None of it was native.
but it won't necessarily harm native grass, but it's a real issue because Caucasian blue stem and old world blue stem is in areas of ditches where the erosion control is an issue. So if you go in there and kill everything, you may have a bigger problem on your hand with erosion and road problems, that sort of thing. So, anyway, didn't mean to get in all that.
Well, that's good. It's time for you.
Okay. Well, good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Mike Bowler with the Riley County Noxious Weed Staff Update. I've got some things that are pretty regular that I report, and then there's a couple of changes that are fairly significant that I'll bring your attention to as we get to them. Spring spraying, that is, began in April with bare ground application on county roads. We spray around all the guardrail sides, that sort of thing. And that is currently in process. Township contracts will begin mid-May. We've had 4 townships with grant pending, and since I've put this down, Grant Township has actually come in, and now we have a 6th township that's interested in contracting with us. So that's one more than we had last year, and that tends to be about an average number. We'll see townships rotate every couple of years to come in, and so we generally don't do all contracts. We do, for the first time this year, have seen Manhattan Township, and that's one of the first times we've seen them. So they've asked that we help with their spring spraying. So that's an addition we haven't seen in the past. Spring seeding projects are all complete. We got those done. There's quite a few of those this year. County roadside mowing will begin probably at the end of May. We've had kind of a cool, dry spring, and so vegetation's not, significant alongside the roadways right now. Usually after we cut it the first time, it really helps stimulate growth as well. So we'll see that grass alongside the roadway kind of really take off once we do our first mowing, which is scheduled towards the end of May at this point. Reminder that Riley County has cost share chemical for the treatment of noxious weed. Last year, you may recall that the chemical was somewhat hard to get, and now supplies have actually returned, and the cost of chemical is actually going down. Some of the issue with that is the distributors, those of us that buy chemical from the distributors, we are sitting on a stockpile of chemical that we paid January prices for, and now June prices are beginning to go down quite a bit, but overall it's good for everybody that's in the market. So we're pleased to see that as one area this year that, and of course that's subject to change probably as soon as I say it, but right now we're actually seeing the market stabilize and coming down in that area. So very pleased about that. John Deere mower tractor has been ordered, and we're excited that because we're maybe expecting delivery as early as July this year. So again, that's kind of a supply chain issue that we've been, it's a year away. Well, in this particular case, John Deere is maybe going to deliver this tractor within a couple of months of us ordering. So it's great. Very pleased about that. On the HHW side, we will be doing the Howie's Clean Out Saturday, May 13th. From 8 a.m. to noon. A good way to remember that is always the second Saturday of the month. A reminder, no business waste or 25 items or less per customer, please. No big truckloads of items. And then we do out at our facility have recycled latex paint and many other items to give away. Very popular, and folks this time of year doing a lot of spring cleaning. So just a reminder of that. This is the one big change that I alluded to earlier. Kansas Department of Health and Environment has notified HHWs across the state that we will no longer be able to accept a small quantity generator business waste. This was something that I always kind of questioned. What a small quantity generator is 55 pounds to, I believe it's 255 pounds a month of waste. And it also has some particular what type of waste you're producing. KDHE went back and reviewed state statute on that and came to the conclusion that HHWs across the state never were supposed to be accepting that waste. Small quantity generators need to have their own manifest showing their disposal of their waste, and they can actually be fined if they use our what they call lading of transportation, meaning they use our manifest to dispose of it, and then ultimately we can be fined as well. So as of June 30th, we will no longer be accepting small quantity business waste. Now we will accept business waste of what they call conditionally exempt small business waste, which is 55 pounds or less a month, and it is somewhat dependent on the type of material you're producing. So we'll see kind of some confused looks, and it is a little confusing, but we're going to hopefully try to educate. KDHE is going to be sending out information to small businesses, and we will be providing them with other ways and means of getting rid of waste.
How does that work with batteries?
Batteries is exempt.
Okay.
Either batteries, fluorescent light bulbs, latex paint, all won't be on there. As an example, we over the years have accepted business waste from a business that genetically and chemically alters wheat germ in experiment. That is something that we no longer will be moving forward and collecting. It's just not the type of item that we're labeled to be handling. Then there's another company that was an aviation company that used a lot of solvents, adhesives, solid flammables, some fairly significant corrosives. Those items will no longer be able to come through our deal. To give you an idea, we've done about $8,000 worth of business waste on average the last couple of years. Now, we are reimbursed by that for that, but that has to come out of our budget up front. So this is the one line item that, as we discuss budget moving forward, this is the one line item that we're seeing a significant increase in, and that's the disposal of waste. And so actually this change is going to help me reduce my request in front of commissioners on that one line item. By on average about $8,000 a year. And it's something that we support. We simply never should have been doing. It's just the bottom line. We shouldn't have been doing this at the beginning. And then finally, Justin Brenner and I attended our works conference for solid waste and HHW processing, and we both received our yearly certification from KDHE for HHW processing. So all up and renewed on that. So with that, commissioners, any questions for me? I know that kind of big one on the small quantity generator is a change. And it will require some education. But I think we'll be able to work through it. But it will
What
be-
is that? What is the business waste from small quality generators? What is that?
Well, it's maybe somewhat difficult to give you an example, but let's say there's a painting company. They produce a lot of oil-based paints.
Okay.
And they produce about 60 to 70 pounds of oil-based waste a month. Normally, they've been able to dispose of that through our facility, but now since they're over a certain weight, they'll no longer be able to do that. You can imagine we have to, in our facility, and the key kind of is in the name, household hazardous waste. It's generated, it was always intended to be for households. It never was really intended to be for businesses at all. But we do recognize that there are small quantity conditionally exempt businesses, meaning really small businesses that produce just a minimal amount of hazardous waste that we can help facilitate that. But that's what it is. It's kind of hard to explain, but you can imagine like larger companies, Parker and Hannifin, Walmart, Home Depot, those are large quantity generators. They produce a tremendous amount of waste. We ourselves at Riley County HHW are a large quantity generator because of the amount of waste we process. So it really is based on just the amount that you produce a month. But if you get into the fine print, it also varies on the type of waste you produce. So you can produce a smaller amount of waste, say under 55 pounds, but it may be a high corrosive, a very flammable solid waste, something that we're just not designed to handle. And they have to show their own manifest that they're getting rid of that waste. So that's why there's the change.
Okay, so they go into the business waste category.
Yes, what we'll do is if they don't have a vendor, we can give them, recommendations of who's in the area that can help them out. If they just don't even know where to start. But most do. I mean, you can hop on literally the internet as a business and say, how do I get rid of this type of waste? And you'll get results.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, good question. Anything else, commissioners? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All the time.
That is a bright eye.
Yeah. Vivian is also.
Baseball, yes, it's- yeah. I like it.
Thanks. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, it's supposed.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. That's in the time to do it.
Everybody's in trouble today.
I know. I'm just saying.
Taking the room. Yeah,
We'll have to make his permanent office back there.
yes. That's where we used to do our executive sessions at
Yeah.
pre-COVID.
We can set them back.
As I say, if we had more than 3 or 4 people, it was pretty cramped.
Stickles, got it, listens.
Really?
And they got some sign posted that they were seeing stuff. Taxes.
Oh, boy, they've been open for 60 years or something.
Well, they really-
No, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, I didn't even see it, my daughter sent it to me, just sign posted on the buildings.
Huh.
People have a certain amount of time to pick up. it. You know, I come to going shirt and like 3 weeks. That's. That was
I'm not going back to the back room, whatever it is.
It's never bad. Okay, it's rarely bad. None of them today have been bad. How's that?
And they'll affirm that, right?
You bet they will.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Morning, Commissioners. Evan McMillan, Raleigh County Public Works. Today, I'm here to recommend a rate increase at the solid waste or at the transfer station. So the most recent contract that we have with him was signed in 2010, which expired in 2019. Since the expiration of that contract, we've been working with him to negotiate a new contract. Historically, the contracted operator, which is Hams, had a reoccurring annual increase of 3% each year. Since the end of the contract in 2019, no additional increases were implemented. So the most recent increase that we had, which was in October of 2022, was a 9.3% increase to their rate. And that basically just made up for where they would be had the contract never expired. It's expected in the future, any annual increases imposed by the operator will consist of a blended CPI specific to the waste industry. In order to account for this increase and any other expected increases with the new contract, the county will need to increase the rates. The suggested rates that I have attached to this, which I'll discuss later, will also allow for several mandatory improvements to the transfer station, such as replacement or repair of the tipping floor, replacement of equipment, and possibly a fire monitoring system pending contract negotiations. The comparison of the recommended rates, which is also attached, give an estimate of the capital funds remaining in the upcoming years. The capital expenditures included in that include placement of the tipping floor, maintenance of the crane, and then other equipment as needed. So I'll go through the proposed rates. I've got some graphs as well. So currently we're at $55 a ton. Most recent increase was in, I believe, 2015. No, I'm sorry, 2020, which increased it from $50 a ton to $55 a ton. So we're proposing that We either increase it to $64 a ton or $65 a ton. It is a fairly large increase, but in order to handle these upcoming capital expenditures and the new proposed rate by hand, we need to have some sort of increase. So I've got some attached graphs. So this gives kind of a breakdown of the remaining capital funds in solid waste based on different tonnage rates that we'll go with. We got $63 through $66 a ton. So as you can see, if we were to do basically any of these rates in 2025, we need to do an additional increase in the rate. So these graphs include those capital expenditures, which would be the tipping floor, which that would run an estimated maybe 200 to 220,000 to replace that. And we also include a $90,000 estimate for grain repair, and then $90,000 for the rear scales of the transfer station.
Well,
To give
I
you
guess
guys-
all good things have to come to an end, huh?
Well, and
It usually brings us good news,
yeah,
and here we are.
we do have enough money in the capital fund balance to cover those improvements, all right?
Yes,
They wouldn't necessarily have to be in the increase.
I'm sorry.
They wouldn't necessarily have to be covered in the fee increase.
Well, with the new contract, if we don't increase, we're gonna take a dive pretty quick.
That's quite a bit this day and age, you know, with the inflation and all, everything going on, but
Here's the problem I have with it. Yeah, I understand the rate increases, I understand having to maintain equipment and everything else, but you know, one other capital expenditure that we need to be thinking about out there is how people pay. I get a lot of feedback on this, you know, if we're gonna increase rates on everybody in order to accomplish that, we need to make it easier for them to pay. Most of them are paying with credit cards now because we don't do debit cards. And there's a, what, 3% charge on top of that? That increases that pretty significantly. If you have a business card and you're charging that waste on your credit card and then not paying off that balance at the end of the month, you're getting hit with a pretty good interest rate on top of being charged. So
Right.
if we're gonna increase rates, we need to make it more efficient and easier for people to be able to pay up front, whether it's the current rate, whether it's a new rate. That needs to be part of this up front.
So recently we changed to doing credit cards only just due to COVID.
Right.
We were taking cash. Some of the issues with taking cash is there is a risk of possibly getting robbed out there, I guess. Having cash on hand, which we
Right.
can work around that, but
Well, I know we're gonna be getting fiber out there at some particular point in time. Are we, WTC is working on that. I'm assuming that's who it's gonna be. But I mean, yes, we're in the modern world here. We need, you know, most people have a debit card they use out of their bank, or can you set up a direct deposit type of thing for those who do a large amount? I mean, we need to use some of those tools.
You do have the accounts for the larger haulers that
Okay.
and have that. We do have accounts. This
Okay.
is more of the occasional use that we're taking credit cards on.
Okay. I don't talk to two business owners who are out there quite a bit. I don't know how you define small and large in this particular case, and maybe that's a whole different examination, but you know, when they're having to just use a credit card only at this point in time, and you're charging them 3% for the usage of that credit card, and then we're talking increase in the rates, there's no benefit back to those people. And we want them to be able to bring their waste out there, whether it's lawn and landscaping or whatever, you know. If we're gonna increase the rates, we need to make that better. That's kind of my line in the sand, I'm sorry.
yeah, we can look into that.
Okay.
Like, there's no charge for a debit card, is there?
No, because
I
it
don't think
typically
so.
comes right out of your
Comes
bank.
right out of your account.
But the credit card institutions, even if you go into the treasurer's office, or the clerk's office and pay for it, they charge a fee. Or the person that's accepting the card has to eat that fee and we charge it back. And I get that, but
We can look around and see what our options are as far as that.
okay,
Yeah, back in.
can we do that before we increase the fees?
That would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I get where you're at on the rest of it there. I just know there'll be a lot of people. Not real
It's not
pleasant. on them.
popular, and I don't like it either, not as well as anybody else, but I mean, we're getting those costs passed on.
No, I
We're
understand
to stay
that.
afloat and keep that operation running.
I'm just, all I'm saying here on the front end of this is, you know, if we're gonna increase the rates on even the small guy that's coming out there, let's make it easier and, you know, at least maybe find a way so they don't have to be charged the extra 3%. That makes up some of the difference up front on that.
That's done through credit card processing company.
I understand that, but when that's the only way you can actually pay, when there's other options, we need to look into that. Value for value, if we're gonna charge more for the service, we need to provide better way of paying for the service. That's my point.
And we can go back to cash. There was a security issue in my mind that not just at the transfer station, but the courier bringing it back in combat on Operation Work,
Okay,
and who was driving that route at the time. It just left.
did we have a problem with that before COVID?
I don't know.
Okay,
It's. We have been broken into at least about twice since I've been here. At the transfer station.
Okay.
So, I mean, those are, issues we'll have to address them.
okay.
Well, the debit card is like cash, so that's why it'd be a good thing to institute that.
There's a transaction charge even on debt.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
By the
You're getting
user,
charged
by the
fee,
user
man.
fees.
It's just hidden. They charge you businesses fees.
The bid, oh,
And even in an ACH transaction, there's a fee. Bank will charge you a fee on that. Depending on your size of operation and everything else. But yeah, banks will charge you fees no matter what, they're just one place or another. 'Cause that's how, quite honestly, that's how they make a lot of their money, especially during lower interest rates. Or upside down interest rates.
We need more options than just the one. That's my point. So we need to look at ways to, like I said, if we're gonna increase the fees on the consumer, we need to make that part of it better.
We have an idea when WTC or anybody else might be out
It's
there.
gonna be within the next couple of years. Hopefully, they're working on some extra grants to get that pushed out in that location. And even fiber is gonna be run up to a point where, I don't know, this would be a core IT type of thing where you might be able to still connect and make make the satellite routing system work appropriately, even if it's not all at that location. So,
Wireless router.
right.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's not our expertise necessarily, but we're a county in a region where, some of these modern technological advances do need to apply to all of our services, including the transfer station. I'm sorry, but if we can look into that and maybe come back, I'd appreciate it. Sure. If that's good with everybody else.
yeah, you want to wait.
Yeah, I'm
for
gonna,
this until we get that answer.
yeah. Greg, are you okay with that?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
He's over there.
Okay. Yes, I'm looking to get back to you guys. Thank you.
Okay. I'll go ahead and just do it by motion. That way it's probably the better approach when you say Clancy. Can't hurt. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion in that we table this particular measure and or schedule another work session to discuss issues on at a later date. You're on mute, but we heard you.
So, okay, I'll second. How's that?
It's been moved in session, seconded to, bring this back to us at another date when further alternatives are available. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Then up next, we have the trash removal contract with Howie's. So we looked into our options. Essentially, our options are either to move forward with the contract or propose to them that we do a bi-monthly until we can rebid.
Refresh my memory on what this is for.
This is for just the county's trash.
Okay.
What an increase.
Yeah, they had about an $8,000 increase since last year.
And under the contract, went back and looked at that, they have the ability to say if we exercise the option, which is what we're doing here. They have the ability, under the original bid documents, to come back and say, we want to negotiate the price. Because all of 2024 was under the same, all of 2022 was under the same rate. It was kept at that rate, so. I just want to make it clear that the vendor had the ability to do this. To start the negotiation process.
But you did mention something here about rebidding this particular process, is that right?
Yeah, that's a possibility.
And that's what was discussed previously. Getting an agreed amount to have it temporarily, month by month, while they prepare to rebid it potentially.
But we would have the option to go back to the $8,300 if other fees are higher.
Well, it's not a matter of option.
That's
it's just-
the increase.
No, that's the increase.
That's
That's
not
the
the-
increase.
yes.
Yeah.
That's not the actual price.
That's what they've said, exercising their right under the bid documents. When we exercise our option to go forward, they can negotiate. They've raised that issue and they're just trying to find a way, the department's trying to find a way to maintain the service. While potentially going back out to bid.
And if we do go back out to bid and it ends up being higher, I believe we have to go with that higher rate. We can't come back to this.
Right.
Rate.
Yeah, this isn't something that's set in stone. It never was. But we get no bids.
Well, there's not many options to begin with. That's probably part of it. We only have,
Always
for industrial, it's only about 3 or 4 companies that do it in the area, isn't there?
Not sure, it was last year when we did this, we had 2.
Yeah. Waste management and Howie's. There's, well, there's one other one.
Average.
Yeah, but they do household. They really don't. Yeah, they really don't do commercial and industrial. Yeah. There's another one from Topeka. I can't remember the name that does some stuff in the area, but. Wow. That's something.
So we want to make a motion to negotiate.
How long is it gonna be the process to get to rebidding?
I would estimate maybe 2 months, maybe 3 at most.
Okay. Can we just burn it? On days we can burn?
Can I go tell Russell that's what you wanted to do?
I said on days we can burn.
Well, you always can burn. Just whether or not you're doing it legally.
So I have $8,300, just quite a bit. Are we getting anything else with that increase? We normally wouldn't get, yeah, exactly.
Recycling, do they do the recycling?
No.
No.
We do that ourselves.
No.
I'm just getting to a point where I'm just kind of tired of just getting stuck with increases, just like everybody else is. No offense to anybody here, but it's just,
And it's not over yet.
I know.
I think we should look for some other bids.
Well, I had a question. It's an increase, but what is the rate? You know, the base rate before that's added, how big of a percentage raise is this?
It varied across just depending on the location and travel time. It was. It's around a 30% increase.
But no,
And when we raise the tipping fees, that's gonna add more to it, right?
No, they're aware of the increase in tipping fees.
Okay,
yeah.
Doesn't mean you won't hear that later on.
yeah.
We will, I'm almost positive.
It's always good to get another day or two. So. So what kind of motion do we need to make? for that?
I'd like to just propose keeping the rate long enough to basically rebid this at this point in time. So. That's what the motion actually is, isn't it?
And
Yes, the
since-
motion would be to either sign this contract or move forward and do monthly until we can rebid.
I'd like to go monthly until we can rebid. That's,
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
okay. I'll go ahead and make a motion then that we go on a month-to-month basis for trash services until we can successfully rebid for the service.
No second.
it's been moved and seconded to go on a month-to-month basis until we get bids for trash service. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Thank you.
That's gonna be a catch 22, but
We're taking a chance. I'm not so sure it's not a good chance. Worse, it's gonna go up some more. The best it'll stay the same.
You can forget the only welcoming.
you can start going back to the old system of bringing us good news,
Right.
Evan, please. Thank you.
Yeah, but I'll bring you the next.
They assume that.
Not today.
Oh. Oh, how much more I can take this morning, man.
Oh, no, that's later. Go for this.
Oh, boy. Can it be like tractors where we get them in July and it's okay?
Six,
What's that, 1 year and a half?
2 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
The longer they stay out, the more the price.
and I think that's what's happening. You're doing that intentionally.
You'd be surprised, huh? Wait 8 months to a year for 5.
They go, oh, well, we can't get them to you, but we're gonna have to charge more because we can't get them to you.
You know. I wanna fight it so bad, but it's not the dealers. Who made the bid, it's not their fault.
Well, but we get stuck in a position where we gotta look out for our own best interest there too, dealer or manufacturer side.
So what is that?
Well,
That's where I'm struggling.
I think that's where everybody's struggling. That's why this is happening.
Fight it, ignore it, or say, no, we don't want it. Now we're still out of trouble
Mhm.
that we desperately could use.
Yeah, I think. I've said this one before. I said this one last year when we were talking about this. We need to start looking for alternative ways and get creative with it.
Unfortunately, some of the alternatives is even more expensive.
Well,
I mean, you're looking at leasing, you're looking at a higher cost.
We used to gotta get that.
we did.
You gotta get, yeah.
Well, that was through KDOT though, right? Wasn't it? Or no?
Those were.
Yeah.
We're buying the motor graders because we're afraid we couldn't get the grader to do one to lease the new ones.
It's a cost factor.
Buying it or leasing it, the cost is still high.
But when you lease it, are you still responsible for the upkeep and maintenance?
For most of it, yeah.
Depending on how many you have and the usage, you know, that does.
With the lease we're buying, we typically have bought a service package, so we're still responsible.
Oh,
for
okay.
it. Yeah.
How's that work with the townships on theirs? Separate?
Yeah, they're on their own.
Okay.
That's their own equipment.
It's weird. And these black ones are the same conversations that we were having. We ordered a road grader, it was gonna be 24 months before we saw it. We put in orders for fleet vehicles and Dodge just decided not to take them.
Yep.
And, so, you know, and our dealers calling us like, we're really sorry, but they just didn't produce any, so, you know. And we ended up calling our director of road Bridges XLT, because that's the only thing we could get was an XLT package SUV for him, that, you know, and he needed one, it was, when he was driving, it was like 300-something thousand miles on it, and, you know, so it was time.
Well, Ford held up a whole bunch of their fleet over the emblem. Nothing mechanical, nothing electrical, nothing structural, just stupid Ford emblem. It's like, give us the truck, we can pop the emblem on later.
It hasn't
We
changed
ran
in
into
100
that.
years.
I know, right? Maybe the material that's made, but. Yeah,
That. Yeah, we were running into the same problems. Fire engines. Fire engines got expensive. And it was expensive. Like double the price of this. 18. We got lucky and found a good, fairly used one in Nazi company.
we did the same thing with one of our trucks here recently too. Problem is a lot of the rural fire districts will get stuff from the other fire districts and forestry and extension, and they're not so quick to give theirs up anymore either. So those haven't been options as well.
So if you're finding it, you can drive the road there. we say.
Mhm.
Or another.
How many cities does Miami County have?
I have 5 incorporated. Yeah, 5 incorporated cities.
Gardner, Edgerton.
No, those are both the Johnson.
Those are Johnson.
Lewisburg, Spring Hill, which straddles the county line, Paola, Silverado, and Fontana.
Fontana.
Little Fontana. And then they have obviously a couple of incorporated townships. Everybody refers to the cities out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not really, I mean, it's not really off the beaten path from Kansas City there.
No, it's, well, don't tell them that. They think they're very rural. They're technically, they're pretty almost part of the metro area,
Yeah.
but that upsets people.
I've got friends that live over in Lewisburg. I know, fully aware.
They're real happy about it.
Mhm.
Well, Jeremy, and he was trying to do something like, Eric, something. I think he came to the government. But Terry, yeah, Eric's nice. We were young, we talked about some stuff on what. Out of Edmonton. This is good project. It seems like these little things are, they just.
Actually, do you have a couple minutes since we have like 15 minutes, the next item? Sure. Okay. Sorry, I didn't interrupt your conversation.
I am. Nice to meet you as well. But yeah, no, it's like, I don't think I was here when this, some of that meetings. And Craig was out yesterday, and so I seen. I thought we were taking.
Thanks for your help.
Yes. I don't. Right. Because I'm giving you this. And I'm supposed to go in. You could have done that on Monday. But. That's what he said. He said, I'll forget by Monday. I don't ask for it. So we're just shooting it, but no, that's a shame. Ask me about the one calendar on Monday. Yeah. I think that's what you should. I'll ask. Yeah, easy. Yeah. He's always really helpful on the sides of the person who's get on our county council list, so they ask you a question. It's always very nice about it. She's like, it's a question, like, oh, some of them don't. No, possibly maybe only one of those questions. No, we think about it, a lot of people, thank you for asking that. Yeah, you guys can, am I the only one who asked? I was already like, it's why, and now it's, it's just, the other trainings I have care of, it's just me, yeah. That even my, it's just questions, but we're going to have else, when I start thinking about it. Oh, I don't know, sending stuff, what do you do when you put it on paper, manufacturers say, just kidding, we're not looking at pictures, sure, what are we doing? Yes, and then, something, some of those come back, like, well, we're not gonna honor that contract, and we should pay something $3,000, it's a year, and then there's. Of course it is, and it's like, well, there's really a clause in here, and it was in there. So here it is. I mean, that's somebody else. So you gotta make a decision how that will affect. I think we can eventually extend on the line, so 2 years. So it doesn't get, it's getting worse. Yeah, it doesn't really. And hiring. The CEO levels, especially like keeping them as raising the rate to our at some point. Right, yes. Shares part of yeah. This is a difficult specialty to fill. One kind of stuff like those enforcement. Yeah. Everybody leaves at once. Well, yeah. It's tough, and they know that they're on task market. Some of them, right. Well, and Eric, he's also. Yeah. Well, I mean, let's just go about that. It's not our budget. Right. Yeah. It's just the ones I see on over. Right, yeah, which, yeah, the way the message is. It's weird. Oh, no. I can say that 2 years. This is 2020. I would assume that we're gonna have the pre-COVID normal again. No, those kinds of things, those kinds of events change though. Yeah, I mean, I imagine we could go back to 19, you know, go back to like 1916 and 1920. There's a big difference. Yeah, so yeah, those kinds of events change, which is understandable. It's just, you know, down to the and that, you know, people say really much. That's just about. But always have more people who will say, so I hope that's the truth. That was more than the opportunity meetings. Yes, I feel like, yeah, more meetings. Most people are just like, no, we have no response. Oh, yeah. Yes, for sure. And I'm chatting, so I don't have a problem. And I know that about myself, so. Listening a thing every day, it's always like. And it's weird how much. Because algorithms and voice, you eventually know about this. They can even keep watching. Yeah, I can think I was like, all these people, like, and the other day was all pictures like me on the vacation. And it's like, how do you, I'm sure. Most days it's pictures. It seems to me that it's. Because this is.
Good to know, thank you.
Stricter. Yeah, she might have to make this thing.
That's what I did every Wednesday all day.
And I'm just going out today.
I don't know why, a few hundred issues at a time, in all quarters. You're gonna get a break in 10-15, because I've got nothing I need to talk about.
Oh, we already had a break.
You're gonna get another.
Well, you're an attorney. You've got all kinds of stuff to talk about.
Not to talk about. The part that's not true.
Now the legislative session's done, I guess it just, all I just slid right by the wayside, huh?
Yeah, as some of them have pointed out, until next year when the stuff's still alive, when
Yeah. Yikes. I take it you're not joining us on the TV this afternoon?
Nope, had to bail on it.
Everybody's bailing.
Who's back? Who else is back?
Well, apparently, Rich had something come up, some conference or something that was more important.
Well, send you some.
I know.
So it's video.
See, you don't agree.
You're right, we don't need him.
Goes without saying. So thank you for saying.
Do you get to take minutes during the tour? Or do we adjourn?
No, well,
Adjourn.
adjourn after.
We'll adjourn after that tour, but we'll do the motion here.
I was gonna say that wouldn't make it fun.
Usually it's.
Yeah. 3 words, tour was taken.
Yeah, and the agenda is very good because it shows times.
Yeah. I was wondering why it was 2 pages today. I was like, are we already starting budget hearings? I'm like,
They were very cooperative.
Fancy refused
Plugging
to
this
go.
this is all,
Okay.
this is actually all new stuff from what it was in 19, except maybe the, oh, there was one on there. The soil sample truck's probably the same, but
That's helpful for anybody who wants to share.
I usually we get. I'm trying to remember, was there somebody from the city last time? I think Sydney Carlin was there last time.
Was she?
Mhm. Tom Hawk might have been there too.
Yes, I saw him yesterday.
I think she was with us last time, if I remember right. Oh. You're asking me to remember 4 years ago. It's just not possible.
I'm gonna add some more. Hi, everybody.
Bye.
See you, John.
I take it he's not going on the tour. anymore.
That's really what's tough, that is.
John and
Yeah.
He was there.
Seem wildly enthusiastic.
This is done.
I know.
Really, somebody's better. I already recognized.
Hey, I did it.
Yeah.
I guess. Well, no, that's just more of a,
Then you still gotta get that. That's better.
yeah. They have a lot of their.
Yeah, I might be able to fill in. I can't really see the screen. Yeah, Tom was.
I don't know if that's Sydney.
Yes, that was Sydney.
And who is this lady?
She's with the soil conservation. She was the deputy. Everybody else, they're kind of on the right on Sydney. They were part of the board. Ron was there and I was standing next to him and Marvin was just right back. Yeah, just great.
Yeah, that's amazing, you know, when you see pictures like that.
I had somebody send me one the other day and I had to look at, holy cow. Yeah, Richard. Oh, yeah, Clancy was there with his fisherman's hat on.
I see you were there.
See, I've been to one. I don't have to go.
Need to
again.
give that one to Vivian to put out a press release.
Sure.
This is the person who's
Yeah.
next to go.
Yeah.
Okay, Clancy, it's your turn.
All right. Commissioners Clancy Holman, Riley County Counselor. Really don't have anything to update you on today. So with that, you have additional time unless you've got questions on anything pending. This is one of those days where there isn't anything to really update you on, beyond what you saw on Monday.
Just jinxed us.
What about the legislative update? Are there things?
I haven't gotten
What
a fun-
passed or didn't pass?
Well, I've seen all kinds of stuff. It's like 20 and 30 pages long from different quarters. Haven't seen yet a report back from the contract lobbyists. When I get that, I'll send it out. So you get a chance to see it. But other than that, you have additional time.
It was kind of amazing on the legislative there. They were talking that might drag on for a while and
Yeah, Sydney said something that they might be called back in.
Well, that's what
On the veto.
our contract lobbyist said is it's over unless there's a special session. So, which is a possibility, apparently. I don't know how much of one.
I don't think they've got everything figured out with the budget yet.
Doesn't sound like it
That's what I came to the conclusion of.
based on the incremental stuff. He
I
said,
don't know.
this went down in flames, this went down in flames.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute.
And most of it has to do with education, which is 57% of the budget.
Yeah. Might be coming back, I don't know.
But the flat tax didn't pass.
No, I didn't care enough to override it.
What about the appraiser? Elections that never went to the final, did it?
They never actually voted on it, but it's still alive for next year, and I think it's in an exempt committee anyway.
I'd have to go back and look.
I think it's in state and federal affairs, which is an exempt committee. That one and both appropriations are exempt. Come back anytime it wants to get reworked. What I hear on that is I don't think there's a real appetite to do that.
That's great.
There was what, 18 governor over vetoes? Like the most in history.
It doesn't, if that's, I assume that could.
She
be
had a
the
couple of
case.
line, there was a couple of line
Bunch of
items
line
too,
items.
but yeah.
Yeah, there was some. It was even hard to keep track of those because those kept coming in through separate sources. Depending on what interest, the association or group had. Okay.
If I remember right, you can you override those line items?
I think you can. I don't know why you couldn't. But again, about the time I think I know the rules and they changed. That, so
Well, yeah. Well, I was thinking on the line items, you, in order to override those, you basically have to override the entire bigger part of it.
but I'm not going to pretend I know right now. I can find out, but I do not know.
Well, what good are you then?
Good question.
How about?
Please let me go.
How about the food sales tax? What happened? Keep it the same? Changing it?
Right now, it's the same.
I don't think that one passed.
No, in fact, that one went down in flames is what Mike Taylor said.
Yeah.
I think that's because legislators heard enough of the people on the local end on that to,
Oh, it hurts, yeah.
my guess is to probably get that one to pass, they're gonna have to. They cut it all the way to zero, even on the local end, they're gonna have to find a way to make up that difference and, us local officials know exactly what that means down the road. We don't trust it. It'll be interesting next session to see what they come back for a tax proposal. Both sides, a night and day difference on that.
You have a couple minutes. We can still.
I'm in trouble now.
You're in trouble now.
They say the best for last.
Oh, really?
Yes, I can usually use my mouse. Well, this different. She probably is this. Oh, okay, oh, it's that one. No, like, the- Sometimes we want to see this, like, there's a meeting outside of it. This time we're doing this, so we have to stop it and do it.
Careful.
It's really busy.
Um. I'm gonna look at this email. One we were talking about before,
No, okay,
is it?
no. No. Yep.
I guess like one of those then. I've had an email for somebody you may have gotten one too on who wants a fence viewing,
What?
a fence viewing.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
You're gonna become experts on that
Thanks, you.
this spring and summer. Cause you got. It'll be probably number 3. You got another one that's requested, but probably doesn't fit, but we'll see. We'll send out a packet of information for the person to fill out. Because we need to know specifically what's the issue, what's the,
I'll be sending that, forwarding this over to you then.
sure, please do. And this other, the 4th one that I just mentioned, they kind of know that they kind of accept what I said. So well, fill it out, send it in, we'll see. So you're probably gonna have, I know of 3.
So we all have to go out and use the fence.
Either that or you assign somebody to go in your place.
I don't mind.
Ooh, I got an idea there.
Can we get some horses and ride the fences?
I'm sure that would be allowed.
So yes, I did notice you folks are going to do soil, so you will be my new environmental specialist.
Okay.
We have a contract we'd like you to sign. So.
Yes, except just sign this, don't look at it.
I have some demands for salary and benefits on
Okay,
that.
I will ask my commissioners.
Okay.
Demand noted.
All righty, good morning, commissioners. Amanda Webb, Planning Director. I'm here with Planning Development's monthly staff update. I feel very echoey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
top that too.
Yeah. So first on my list, I'm actually going to bump it to the last because there's a little bit extra I want to talk about with the housing discussions. So I'll just kind of pop through a few other highlights to address, and of course, anything you folks want to know more about. So short-term rentals, just an update with that one. Very echoey.
Yes.
So short-term rentals, can you still hear me?
Mhm.
So we're still, of course, working on that. And if you folks remember when we updated the STR regulations last May to make a few changes since the LDR was adopted in January 1st, 2022, we made a couple changes to the STR regulations and got that taken care of last May. You folks gave a 1-year grace period for any folks who weren't, it's already a year. For anybody who wasn't, in compliance with some of our criteria, just to give them some time, of course, to come into compliance. Well, that date is tomorrow, so we have come up against our year. We have received 19 short-term rental applications, issued 18. One of them we just got, so we're working through that one. And we have 3 from our original spreadsheet that we still have not received application from. So we're working with legal on that just to get that moving along. So, but we've also received new ones since we put together that original spreadsheet that you folks have found. So seems like we're getting people kind of in that, in the know of, you need to, be applying for this, and we're finding them and getting people to comply. So we really haven't had too much issue with that other than those few originals. So just give you a heads up on that. Our community rating system, our CRS certification, has to do with our floodplain insurance through FEMA. As you might recall earlier this year, well, we have to recertify every year. And earlier this year, we brought the paperwork to you folks to sign and send into the agency that verifies all of that for us. We did receive word in April that everything is good to go, and we have met all of our recertification requirements, and we will remain a class 9 community. Being a class 9 community does save residents of unincorporated Riley County 5% of their insurance premium. So it was really important that we maintained that classification. If we had bumped up to 10 or something, that would have impacted those rates. So really happy to report that everything was just fine and we got that recertification. So. Solid Waste Management Committee, on Monday, I will have the annual review before you folks to review and make a recommendation on. I need to have that to KDHE by May 15th, which of course is the end of next week. So the group, we'll talk, of course, a little bit more about it on Monday, but the group recommended approval, just minor changes as usual, because we're going to be kicking off our 5-year update later this year. So that's due in May 2024. So didn't want to do a whole lot of changes when we're going to be reviewing the whole document coming up here pretty quick. Comprehensive plan update, another one I will give you more of a update on when I have my regular staff time. I think it's May 22nd this month, when I have my 30 minutes before you folks. But just a couple things to highlight of the different agencies and organizations I've reached out to be on our TAC, our technical advisory committee. I received 21 responses with folks who are interested. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think that's a really good amount. Obviously, I'm hoping to get more, and you know, we'll kind of keep reaching out to people and whatnot. But I mean, that's a pretty good amount of folks in my opinion. So if that's the group we go forward with, I mean, it's pretty wide ranging for people, which is definitely what we want for that. As you also know, I issued the RFQ for consultant services on April 10th. Tomorrow is the submittal deadline, and I will be honest, I haven't received any. But that doesn't mean it's 5 o'clock tomorrow night, so it's very possible I'll get some at 4:59. So I don't want to say that I'm not going to get anything. It's not that abnormal for folks to kind of wait till the last minute. So, but that's what I have right now. So.
If you don't, I may have an option.
Okay, yeah, for sure. And then the survey, Vivian and I are still kind of working on that, and I'll have that more information on that when I have my 22nd. So just cruising right along. Feel free to stop me if you have any questions or comments. So some current planning updates. So next Monday evening, Riley County Planning Board will have their regular monthly meeting. They're going to review a couple of replat requests. Those will then be before you folks at subsequent meetings to make final decisions on, of course. We're also going to start talking about some code amendments for consideration from our LDR. As I'm sure you know, the LDR is it's always going to be changing. It's a living document. There's, you know, it's pretty normal to have to make changes to regulations as you go along and learn what's maybe not clear or what's not working, or, you know, what needs to be amended. So I'll have that discussion before you folks at the end of May, probably with my June staff update, so you're aware of what we're looking at too. Environmental health transition. I guess we don't need to talk about that since you guys are now my EHS folks, and you're learning all about soils this afternoon.
Negotiation.
That's fine. We'll make it happen. But yes, that position has been open for a little over 2 months, and unfortunately just not receiving the qualified candidates that I need. We definitely received some applications when we've had some interviews with folks who have pieces, but what I'm really needing is the soils and the septic stuff, essentially. And I haven't had any applicants with that, with those qualifications, if you will, at this point. So it's of course still out there. I'm still talking to everybody I can possibly think of, yelling from the hilltops. Hey, if you know anybody, you know, please send them my way. Of course, you folks did approve an environmental health technician position if we have to go that route instead of the EHS position. still really wanting that EHS with those qualifications, but if we have to go the other route, we'll deal with it. As you also know, Dr. Presley and her soils class have done several soil evaluations over the last few weeks, which has worked really well. Her students have been really excited to have real world experience. So it's nice that it was able to work for both of us. You know, her students got, you know, some good experience on the ground, and of course we got, you know, assistance with the soils. So but that will be coming to an end. I do need to have that conversation with her to see how much longer. So I will keep you posted on that. So, and more about soils classes. I'm looking at classes that are not finding much in the state, but there are a few regional classes that I'm looking at. I've emailed a couple of the organizations that offer the classes to see if it's something, you know, given our situation, if it's something that, you know, I could take a day or two and do something. I mean, it's going to take a lot more than a day or two for somebody to be able to do, you know, everything you need to do. But if there's at least a little bit of knowledge I can glean, you know, to be able to help with something, that's kind of what I'm thinking at this point, honestly. But I'll keep you, of course, posted on all of that too. Any questions or comments on anything I've talked about so far before we jump into housing? Okay. So, popping it back up to housing, as you folks know, that's been a hot topic these last few months. And will continue to be a hot topic. It's a big thing, of course, and it's not just Riley County or city of Manhattan. It's national. It's one of those things we're always having to look at. And you heard from Stephanie did give the RHID, the Rural Housing Incentive District discussion at the intergovernmental. She and I have had a couple conversations since then, and she will be back before you folks here on June 5th at 10:15 to give you some more information. You know, a little bit more about what the program is, kind of the city's perspective, what they're looking at, all of that sort of stuff. So then the moderate income housing program, as you know, is a little bit different. It's not the tax incentive program, it's a grant or loan from the Kansas Housing Corporation. For basically, well, just that moderate income housing projects. Counties can apply on behalf of cities that have less than 60,000 population, but we don't have to apply on behalf of the city. We can apply on behalf of an organization that would do a project within city limits, be it Manhattan or one of the small communities. And of course, I have been approached by Habitat for Humanity. They do have a project that they are looking at that is within city limits. And they have requested, or we've had that, you know, these conversations. I know at least one of you has had that with him as well. To see if the county can apply on behalf of them for the project within city limits. There's a lot more to work out, and I'm not sure how much you folks are aware of the program, but the next round is due on June 2nd. So that's getting really, really tight. And then the other part of it is we would have to, we would have to file a notice of intent by May 12th. So that's also very, very tight. And then specific to that, their development or their proposal, it's on a piece of property that wouldn't support that right now. They would require a rezone, which goes through the city. And that is not a quick process. That's definitely not something that's going to happen in the next 4 weeks. So just some things to think about. That doesn't mean we can't, you know, revisit this at any point, of course. I don't think there's anything wrong with the county applying on behalf of an organization or an agency. And it's not so much the city didn't want to do it. Their process is a little bit longer than ours, just how it works. It's, you know, nobody's is better than the other. Complications do arise when we as a county are trying to apply for a project, a city project. Essentially, they of course have their building codes, they have their land use processes, site plan review, all kinds of stuff. And it gets a little squishy if we're submitting a project. I mean, they still have the chance to review it, of course, because they would have to, of course have to issue the permits and you know, everything for that. But we're putting in a project to, you know, the state that's within city limits saying this, you know, here's what it is, it looks good, and it might not necessarily basically, just in just a little bit of a nutshell there, so. So it's just a little bit complicated in that respect. So definitely, you know, again, Stephanie and I have had some conversations. If we do want to go forward with this, you know, with the project within city limits or any project within city limits that we apply for, she and I would just want to make sure we're very, very closely together to make sure they get what they need, and you know, that whoever we're applying on behalf of will get what they need.
Josh had reached out to me on this back in
Yeah,
March or whatever it was. I said, talk to him, man.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it, but if it's the workable deal, it is. I think the property they're looking at's over on Spain
Northview.
Avenue.
Yeah.
It's over the Northview area there, and I didn't know how those dynamics fit. I think the city was still trying to figure out where they're at in this housing dilemma, I guess, of sorts, if you want to call it, and what their focus was going to be. And they didn't necessarily say no on this. It just wasn't in their purview at this point in time. And that still may be an option down the road. I don't know, particularly with the other part of this that we discussed, but you know, however, we need to maintain that. Say if we can bring loans or grants or anything in to help with this, and it doesn't have a lot of strings or requires a lot of staff or admin time.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah.
fine with me, but
Yeah,
guess I'm
that's what
headed.
worries me is the staff time and, you know, legally, how do we, if something goes wrong,
Right.
then are we stuck with the prior, you know, all the financing, all that,
yeah,
you know?
and those are the questions that nobody really knows yet. These programs are kind of in their infancy, and
but there's plenty of them around that you
Yeah,
should be able to look at to see how they line out. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, I, you know, I, from my perspective, of course, I agree, you know, needing to, you know, find those resources, housing and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, just a matter of kind of finding out how that would work. You know, we don't know how much, you know, staff time it might take, because we don't yet know what the agreements would need to look like. What is going to happen should the developer or the person we apply on behalf disappears. We don't really know any of that. So just some questions that would probably be better to answer.
the other big one on an incentive district is we have to take it off the tax roll. And
Yeah.
we've got a lot off the tax roll already.
Yeah.
And so only those people getting this housing really benefits still at the expense of everybody else, including those that we're trying to help. So I don't know.
Inequitable.
Um,
And, you know, it's just, there are a lot of considerations. You know, definitely, I won't be ready to look at. To have a letter from Kenny in May 12th, that's pushing it.
Yeah.
Before we
Unfortunately.
know.
they do a couple of different rounds of those per
They
year.
do
so
three
it's-
per year,
yeah,
so this
so
isn't the
it's-
last
yeah.
chance for sure. I think the next one's in November, so obviously that gives us a lot more time.
That's-
And I'm certainly not saying I'm not willing to, you know, apply on somebody's behalf and do all of that. I don't have any problem with that. I just did get a little bit concerned once I found out a little bit more about the timeline just for June, and with that particular property, just needing the rezone, and again, that takes a lot of time, so.
And I'm not so for sure that they have a specific plan on how they're going to do that just yet either, did they?
It seems kind of conceptual.
Yeah.
I mean, he did give me a drawing, but it's kind of, you know, the marker.
Yeah.
You know, sort of thing. It's
Yeah.
not like actual engineered plans or anything.
So-
So.
Josh and his people at Habitat still have to come up with something a little bit more substantial. I don't think there's time to do that within this framework.
We may want to look at some of the other or incorporated cities in the rural areas, you know, Riley, Randolph, some of those areas. I don't know if they're even aware of this program.
Well, I know that they were, when we had the meeting in Riley, they were talking about wanting to do something kind of along those lines. Is that right, Greg? You would know more about that.
Hang on, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, they are talking about looking at a couple of those things. Riley is, and I was gonna talk to Amanda off separate from this about some places in Riley and Leonardville that might work for this.
Yeah.
I'd like to see us work on those areas.
I saw the one
as opposed to
that,
the city.
I don't know the logistics and everything that's involved, but I saw the one that they're doing out in Hayes last week, and I mean, look, it kind of looks like a series of garages is what they're kind of building. They kind of have low to moderate income on both ends, so on the front end and then on the senior end or something is incorporated into that. I person I was with didn't know much about it, he just knew where it was, so, but at least I got a visual of what can be built, I guess.
Sure.
Well, definitely more to come on the housing discussion. It's not gonna be over anytime soon, and especially as we're kicking off our comp plan update, you know, we're gonna have a lot of that
Yeah.
information and discussion in there as well, so.
Okay.
Any other, I know I'm a little over my time, but any other questions or thoughts?
No,
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
oh, so now you want to talk and bring up something.
Now. Echo is weird.
I know, it's doing it online too.
Like over here, it's baby or something.
Okay.
Can you hear that?
Sometimes you can affect it by the speakers, but.
Didn't we mess with those the other day on Monday during the public hearing or something?
Somebody may have.
Yeah.
See if this does it. How's that? Yeah, just as bad as it was. Good.
I don't know if it's
Okay.
baby.
I reached the limit of my ability to fix it. Sorry about that. Clancy Holman, Riley County Counselor, you have in front of you the paperwork for the setting a public hearing on assessments. Now that the High Plains Ranch Road Benefit District project is over, as the car indicates, the purpose of this is to, now that we have final costs, there has to be a public assessment. During that hearing, anyone within the benefit district can come in, and presumably anybody outside the benefit district they want to, can come in and ask questions about the assessment amounts, that kind of thing. I'm not saying that's necessarily going to work, it's going to change anything, that will be totally up to the board. That is your decision how the assessments are made. What this asks for is a public hearing on May 25th this year at 10:20. And if you approve the resolution today, there'll be published notice of that public hearing in the Manhattan Mercury on May 9th. And there will be a mailed notice of public hearing out to property owners, and it has to be at least it can't be any earlier than May 15th. Statutory scheme on this is very restrictive as to when the notices go out and the timing of those, and so naturally that will be complied with. But that is the point of this. It is to spread those assessments over the property that is going to receive the benefit of this completed project, which was requested by the property owners. So unless you have questions over that, that's all I have. I would just ask that you go ahead and take the action necessary to approve the resolution in those possible motions. Setting a public assessment hearing on May 25th, 10:20. Authorize the chair to sign the notice of public hearing.
Any question?
Any questions, Greg?
No, I don't have anything.
I'll make a motion, the board approved the resolution setting a public assessment hearing on May 25th, 2023. For the High Plains Ranch Road Benefit District.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the proposed resolution setting a public assessment hearing on May 25th, 2023. For the High Plains Ranch Road Benefit District. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. All I have. Daryl. Be back, John, after this.
We're gonna get all these things for break. You fine? Trying to sense it, this one.
Well, they say wait till the day of. Been happening a lot lately.
There's one package.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 4 instead of 3. What was that?
This was just for me.
Oh, it's way more than 3, 4.
Yeah.
Oh, there must be sending this to everybody. Mhm.
These were all for my signature always.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Morning, Commissioners, Russell Stuckey with Emergency Management and Valley County Fire District number one, with my monthly staff time report. Some of the highlights are on the emergency management side. We had some severe weather on the 19th where we actually sounded the sirens in Randolph and University Park, which those two sirens are tied together. That happened at 3 a.m. in the morning. We were in the OC from around 6 to 8 that evening for the first round of storms. And nobody predicted anything other than some light rain for the 3 a.m. Storms that were coming through. And so we didn't stay up to watch those real close, and then got woke up and they issued the tornado warning right there, but they didn't find any significant damage. So it was radar indicated, but we sounded the sirens.
I've had several conversations on that series of sirens from people. One of them why it went off, and then one of them was why it didn't go off in my area. And it may be that time of year again to re-educate everybody on sirens, what they mean, what they're for, so on and so forth.
I'll be on in focus with Commissioner McKinley
Okay.
on the 9th, I believe.
Okay.
We will touch on that then, and Vivian has put out a lot of information, and we did it for Severe Weather Awareness Week, and but yeah, there's always questions, and we're never going to please everybody.
Yeah, it wasn't that anybody was mad or angry or anything. They just still aren't understanding of how that's working and why.
Yeah, and the fact that they're outdoor warning sirens.
Right.
They're not intended to alert anybody in their house. If you happen to be close enough that you do get to hear them in your house, consider yourself lucky. But
Who's outside at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Exactly.
Like my mom always said, nothing good happens after midnight.
Yeah.
right, exactly. And that was the other thing, we, of course, we sounded them, but how many people are outside doing activities at 3 in the morning? So, but I got a few of those calls, not as many as I thought.
I mean, anybody wasn't mad or displeased. They were just confused.
Right.
Well, there was supposedly a tornado warning. And the other thing that I think it's important to tell people is don't just rely on a siren to start with.
Right.
Have Everbridge or have another means of being able to get
Right.
Information.
Right. Whether it's a NOAA weather radio,
Right.
whether it's an app on your phone, whether it's a service that calls if you still have a home phone, whatever it is. There's several different options and several different relatively cheap one-time expense and or free options out there. So, and like you said, Everbridge is probably one of the best ones because it'll text you, it'll call you, it'll email you.
It will. At 3 o'clock in the morning, it will.
Another highlight was, as you well know, we did a disaster declaration for the Mariadal Road fire. We had a task force came from Mitchell County, which was staffed by all volunteers. When in the past, when we've had a task force, they came from Johnson County, and that was the paid department. So those guys were getting paid the whole time they were here. Along with the Mariadal fire, we had aircraft contracted through the state, through the Forest Service. We had assistance there with the Mitchell County Task Force, especially since they were volunteers and aren't necessarily getting reimbursed for their time. We were going to send them a thank you note and a department t-shirt and to each one of them. I think there's 12 people And then probably a small gift card where maybe they can go get a meal or something.
Okay, yeah.
Is our plan, so. That's probably the biggest highlights on the emergency management side. As we discussed before, on the fire side, we're moving ahead, acting as our own general contractor, working to get dirt work bids. This is trying to start getting some dirt work done on the 2 sites where we want to build the fire stations. So that'll be our first step. I met with Clancy and talked with him about it, and he's good with that. We did a after action review of the April 27th Rag Hall Road fire, and provided a meal for the firefighters that were there, and took comments, and most of them were good comments. We also asked for areas of improvement. We had a few things, but nothing real significant. So it was a good evening and a good conversation about how the fire went, and a few small areas of improvement, but no major big concerns. Just the other day, we responded to a smoke investigation just outside of town on Pillsbury at one of the businesses just past Dora's, and I notified KDHE of that, and it's, pretty obvious illegal burning of illegal materials, and so I called KDHE on that one and informed them the stuff we had. So maybe, and I also looped in Bob and in planning and development, and so I know there's other issues there, so we'll see if maybe something can get done, maybe not.
What was going on out east yesterday?
That was a big black smoke.
East, yes, about what time?
At 4 o'clock.
So what time was
It was about 4:30, I think.
4:30,
Nothing that we went to. I don't know if that was a city,
yeah, it started and it stopped and then it started again.
It was awful dark and
Really?
thick.
like out by the sewer ponds, or
I looked, maybe that goes out, yeah, somewhere in that area.
That was a hamburger, and it was right straight out from Annenberg.
I was driving,
so I want
see on
to.
Hayes there, going back to McCall, and I could see it right there at that intersection.
So maybe something that was a Pot County then.
It might have been. But
Yeah, we didn't go to, we went last night, we at about 5:30. We went to a grass fire at Arrowhead Hills and German Road
no,
up in Total Cove. We went to a grass fire up there,
way further south.
This wasn't a grass fire, was really gray.
right?
This was dark black.
Yeah, this was
I
black.
thought maybe it was maybe a car, something, I don't know.
Might have been.
Didn't hear anybody talk.
I heard some sirens, but I didn't sound like it was going that way either, so I don't know.
So I think, those are the biggest highlights. We got some trucks put in service. We gathered up stuff from the auction. We've got, I think, 3 old trucks that we have going in the auction with the used ones that we've been able to replace those with, or the used ones that we purchased to replace those older trucks and get them out of service. And we had 6 new applications this month. We've got 3 of them interviewed. And of course, some of these overlap from month to month, so that's why the numbers kind of look confusing, but there was 4 actually hired this month. Some of those may have been from the applications in this month, some of them were probably applications from the prior month. Have total active members of 110. And on the runs, you can see we had 78 total runs, not quite 50% of those were grass or brush, grass mixture type fires, which is no surprise. And then Ogden and Tuttle Creek, as usual, are 2 most busiest stations. But stations such as 108 Sweet Creek, which usually isn't one of our busiest, except for this time of year, they were up there pretty high. Where other parts of the year, they may have 1 or 2 runs. So this time of year, depending on how you want to do the math, their run numbers are up 800%. But commission has any questions for me? Fairly run of the mill, other than
blow the tornado sirens and do a disaster declaration.
Mhm. Even those aren't so uncommon anymore.
Right.
Okay,
Don't have any questions. That's all I have. Thanks. The last thing on.
the last thing here.
Righty. Good rest of your day.
Concludes our regular business. You have anything, Greg? That's muted.
Hey, hang on, I had another cough attack, so I'd muted. No, I don't have anything.
No,
I don't either.
I don't either.
Okay, then I will go ahead and make a motion that we adjourn after this afternoon's tour with the Riley County Conservation District.
And I'll second.
The moved and seconded that we adjourn the meeting after this afternoon's district tour with the Conservation District. All in